Good evening, everybody. This is Cinnamon Noir.
And this is the Ramen Shop.
Welcome back to Kero Blaster. As we said last episode, we are not quite done with this game yet. We're going to show off a few of the very strange secret levels that you can find in Omake Mode. I'm not going to be showing most of Omake Mode because it really is just the ordinary levels with like some minor aesthetic changes, and you have the, the special weapons.
Is it more difficult?
No, it's literally just a new game plus. However, the one area where it does get more difficult is in these bonus levels that you can find.
Huh.
This is one right here. You have to... They're not very prominently marked. In this one, for instance, you have to realize that because you have a jetpack in this level, which you don't in the ordinary game, you can get over the right-hand wall. One of few places where you can do that. And that leads you to this bonus level. And you may already have started to notice some weird things about this.
What the... That is
bizarre. These levels are all basically glitch levels. They combine very strange level geometry with sprites not matching what the actual objects are, and an overall appearance of just being glitched.
And I guess that's deliberate.
Oh, it's absolutely deliberate. It's kind of reminiscent of the final boss in the original mode, where it would, spit out code. It would have those weird graphical things. It's, I wouldn't exactly call this fitting in with the rest of the game, so to speak. But the fact that it's Omake Mode kind of makes sense, because this is, like, playing around with the established conventions of the game. Have you ever heard the term Omake before?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Omake is literally Japanese for bonus. It's often used by manga artists to refer to a little, like, short chapter or vignette they'll write after the end of a long bound volume.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Or tankobon if you're a complete weeb like myself. So anyway, the fact that this is Omake Mode, there isn't as much to it as there is in Zangia Mode, for obvious reasons. It's just a little bonus. But there are 3 of these little weird glitch levels, which are, in a way, actually the hardest content in the game. Not that they're, like, difficult in the way that Zangia Mode is, but one thing is that if you die in any of these rooms, you do not start at the beginning of the room. You start outside the entire glitch level.
I thought you were going to say you die in real life.
No. Not yet. They're doing that in a patch. No, anyway. But the thing is that basically you have to do this all in one go. And the thing about this is, these levels are pretty diabolical. They're designed to toy with you. Because in a lot of them, you lose hearts very quickly. There's lots of enemies. There are things that are enemies but don't look like enemies because of weird glitch stuff. But perhaps most importantly, there are just lots of pits. And because the level geometry is so strange, it's sometimes hard to tell when you're jumping right into a pit. Frankly, of the 3 bonus levels, I think this is the easiest. The hardest one actually comes at the beginning of the game, which is kind of odd. There's a bonus level you can get to right at the start of Omake Mode.
That is weird.
You may also have noticed the music is cut out now. Like, even the glitch music isn't playing anymore. Oh, let's talk to this guy. He was always helpful in the main game. That's not helpful. Oh, great. So, in case you were upset that the level was all glitchy, now you just don't get a level.
Oh, God.
That's what you get for your impertinence. No, seriously, there is a level below here, but you can kind of get distracted by this and worry about, oh yeah, more glitches. Nice.
That's so... Oh, yeah, that just looks like a clipping issue.
Yeah, it does. Oh, and that door, you can't go in it. It's actually not a real door. It just looks like
Actually, a lot of these look like, sprite replacement issues.
Yeah, right. Like Missing No. It's like it's trying to call something that's not there. However, there are no actual glitches in this. This is all deliberate programming on the part of the game. Every single one of these things is intended, which is kind of interesting. It actually kind of reminds me of games I used to play a long time ago when I was a little kid. Computer games where there was sort of a, low fidelity aesthetic to them, where they would almost make a joke out of the fact that they were so low poly and so cheap looking by making like glitchy graphics and stuff like that.
Seems like testing this kind of level would be a goddamn nightmare because
I don't actually know if anyone did test these levels. I think they were just made to be as bullshit as possible. Then, you know, just go from there. The hell of it is, 2 of these levels have bosses. This one doesn't, but the other 2 do. And you have to fight them in these glitch circumstances. It's very awkward. We're going to see the worst of those. We're actually not going to see the second level. For various reasons, I didn't include it. But we will see the hardest of these levels in a bit.
Oh, God.
What I just got is called the Kero Blaster. So not Kero Blaster, but Kero Blaster. It is the reward you get for going through the bonus levels, and it is, without a doubt, the best weapon in the game. Even the basic version of it that I have here is better than any weapon we've had so far. It just cuts through enemies like butter.
Because it's just got, like, a stupid high damage, right? I'm guessing?
It's like it's glitched. It's like it's glitched to have an unnaturally high DPS, which is funny.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the one thing it can't do, which is a little irritating, is that it cannot go through destructible obstacles or things like that.
Yeah, it
just passes right through them.
Powerful, but not,
Not useful?
Well, it seems like it lacks the utility of some of the specialized weapons. Like,
the fact that it goes in a straight line is definitely a big limitation. What the Kero Blaster is generally known for in the fan community is that it is a boss killer.
Oh yeah,
it's really good against the bosses because they're all huge targets and they'll stay still for long periods of time.
Well, and they also are any boss is going to be kind of a damage sponge.
Exactly. So anything that's hugely high DPS like this, you know, they have no chance against it. This is the only part of Omake Mode where I'm going to be going through normal level just to show off how powerful the Kero Blaster is. I mean, you've already seen how ridiculous this thing is. But against the boss, this is going to get even more ridiculous. I wanted to show it off against this boss in particular because this is such a hard boss ordinarily, and the Kero Blaster makes it such a joke. Now, there are actually 2 power-ups or upgrades for the Kero Blaster. You get the 3rd one if you go through all 3 of the bonus levels. So basically that's your reward for going through more than one of them. The 2nd one is absurdly powerful, and I think I'll be showing that off at some point. Oddly enough, the 3rd one is less powerful than the 2nd, but a little bit more utilitarian, I guess I would say.
Oh,
it covers a wider spread of the screen.
Sorry.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, Greg?
Never mind.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to see right here, just to start with, how this thing takes apart the mini-boss. Makes it an utter joke.
Oh, yeah.
Just watch that health bar tick down.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The Kero Blaster really does make large sections of this game uninteresting. Because there's no longer any question of difficulty.
I've seen that with some, like, overpowered... Well, of course, like, anyone who's played RE4 with the, Chicago typewriter.
Oh, it ruins that game. It's funny. I like the Chicago typewriter, but I like getting it and then using it for, like, 5 minutes, and then I just put it away and never use it again, because it makes every encounter boring.
I think the Infinite Launcher is more interesting just because it still provides some degree of challenge.
Well, you have to be careful with it, for one thing. It changes the degree of challenge. Instead of the challenge being, how do I get rid of the enemies, it's how do I avoid destroying myself.
Well, even then, the range you have to fire it at to actually harm yourself is shockingly limited.
That's true. There are some hilarious things, like, you'll fire one 10 feet away from yourself and Leon's just thrown to the ground, and he gets right back up.
Yeah. And you usually end up getting enough excess healing items just from the fact that, you know, your enemies
that you're killing every enemy in sight.
Dying in 5 seconds.
Right. They never last long enough to hurt you is another thing. So whatever health items you have, you keep.
Exactly.
It's interesting, you know, I mean, balance is obviously a big consideration for any game, because if you let it get out of hand, it's boring. Most unbalanced weapons are only given as rewards for players who've done everything in the game, so there's really no point in maintaining the challenge.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this is like, but at the same time, Kero Blaster is enjoyable enough to replay that I think, you know, destroying the challenge is not a good idea. But, you know, you can decide not to use the Kero Blaster. Like many overpowered weapons, you can decide to use it only in parts that are normally frustrating for you. which I would say is generally the excuse that you can use for overpowered weapons. Is
I guess
maybe it can just serve you as a crutch when you need it.
my feeling with stuff like that is, it's still in the back of your mind. You know that if anything becomes too frustrating a challenge, you can just essentially turn the challenge off.
That does actually interfere with your getting better at the game.
Yeah.
Speaking of not needing to get better at the game,
Holy hell.
this boss, which took me something like 2 minutes the first time I fought it, is going to be taken apart in approximately 5 seconds by my reckoning. Obviously, you can look at the YouTube video and find out for yourself, but it's not long.
Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, be very careful, very sparing in how you use the Kero Blaster, because like TV tropes, it can ruin your life. Anyway, that's all for today. We will see you again for the hardest level in Omake Mode. Hope you'll tune back in. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.